Hey, I'm Anthony Romano, and this video is going to give you some amazing tips for how smoking affects your fat loss diets and ketosis. So overall, is smoking going to ruin ketosis? Is it going to ruin my results? All those questions are going to be answered, and I'm actually going to give you some amazing tips, if you stay till the end of the video, about how to actually fix the problem and give yourself other little training wheels to slap on to make the whole thing easier. And I'm not necessarily telling you to, oh, you have to quit smoking. Like, enough people probably might throw that at you all the time anyways. I'm just going to give you some other tips to make this whole process easier and to make dieting easier independent of your own life decisions about smoking or not, because you don't need another video that's going to tell you the same old shit you hear all the time. This one's going to give you some amazing tips, so if you like it, that will make YouTube show my content to more people, and that's all you have to do to help me grow my page. Let's get into this. So let's start off with some of the most common questions here. Is smoking going to break ketosis? Well, the nicotine is going to cause a blood sugar spike, and this is going to dampen ketosis, but this might not be the end of the world. Now, granted, of course, try to stop smoking, etc., etc. You already know this, and taper down the dose, etc. But the point is, it is going to dampen ketosis, but you don't always have to be in the deep end of the pool of ketosis. You just got to be in the pool. Okay? Everybody's so neurotic about measuring all their ketones and having really high ketones. You just have to be in ketosis, like at least 0.5 millimoles of ketones in your blood per deciliter. But you don't even have to measure this. Just know that you're doing keto right. And one great way to do that is to get the Keto Shred program, my best fat loss program built over a decade of keto, and coaching people. So on that note, hey, I like a cigar in the summertime. Okay, I definitely am not saying this this video is not solely about the health effects of smoking, because you can already learn plenty about that from medically licensed resources. But the point is, for starting here, before we get into the real killer underground stuff, is it going to break ketosis? No, but it might dampen it. So unless you're a real newbie who has a lot of weight to lose and you're having a hard time entering ketosis, that's the only scenario where smoking may be a problem. So you're going to want to use a bunch of other little tactics that you can also read about in Keto Shred, which are not necessarily specifically aimed at smokers. But if I were coaching a smoker, which I've done numerous times, somebody who very heavily smokes and is having a hard time entering ketosis, I would recommend them to have a bulletproof coffee, which seems very gimmicky, but that is going to provide some extra blood sugar stabilization. And if they do that in the morning, or at bulletproof tea if you don't drink coffee, and you have to do it right, so watch my videos on bulletproof coffee, or get the Keto Shred program, which has the full guide on how to do it the right way. If you do that, RomanoKeto.com, by the way. Now, if you do have a bulletproof coffee, that's going to stabilize your blood sugar, make it less likely for you to have as many cravings, and require as much nicotine. So very negligible but significant dose dropping. So of course, dropping the dose in general is going to help, but adding in blood sugar stabilizers is killer for people trying to quit smoking. So the other thing here is that your adrenals are going to become dependent on nicotine. So this is something where it's similar to a caffeine crash, right? A lot of smokers I've worked with, they basically can't exercise as much, they can't stimulate themselves as much without nicotine. So this is a very common problem, and besides telling you to lower down the dose, you would need to supplement with some other adrenal supplements here. I have an entire adrenal protocol in the Keto Shred program, that book right here, But the point is, one of the things you want to use for sure is vitamin C. Now, it has to be a good quality vitamin C. I have one linked in the description. But the point is, you want vitamin C for your adrenals because they use so much vitamin C. They're the organ that uses it the most. And you want to give them as much support as possible. So on that note, let's get into some of the neural fatigue, the neural burnout you might be experiencing. Now, keep in mind, when I'm saying adrenal fatigue, a lot of scientific resources will say adrenal fatigue is not a real thing, okay? I'm not telling you that your adrenals are actually going to get fatigued. It's simply they're going to have a harder time churning out cortisol, and other parts of your body are going to manifest this fatigue. Okay, you'll get injured more often, you'll have a harder time stimulating yourself, and if you're somebody who smokes, this might sound familiar to you if you go for a long time without a smoke. So, vitamin C is killer there. You might also benefit from an ashwagandha, which is an adaptogen herb, which basically can help balance you out a bit. So if you need more stimulation, it might give you that. If you need less stimulation, more relaxation, more serenity, it might give you that. But you're going to have to tinker around with that for yourself, unless you get Keto Shred and get the protocols there in full detail with all the little caveats, okay? Because it's way too long for me to explain in a video. RomanoKeto.com. That's all I can explain right here. But let's get into neural fatigue. Okay, so one of the things you might encounter if you're smoking a lot is you will burn out the excitatory neurotransmitters in your brain. So again, this comes down to, cranking up the excitatory neurotransmitters. Now, nicotine can be both a stimulant and a, depressant that way, a relaxant. But one thing that is for sure is you're going to be burning out nicotinic receptors. Okay, these are cholinergic type receptors, which is basically a focus neurotransmitter, right? That's why a lot of writers like to use nicotine. Okay, now on that note, you could benefit by adding in some supplements that are basically the precursors to the exciting neurotransmitters. So the one I commonly recommend is L-tyrosine. Now you're going to have to tinker around with the dose and figure this out for yourself and get, medical oversight to do this properly. But L-tyrosine is one of the avenues to build up these catecholamine neurotransmitters, which are the exciting ones, okay? So dopamine, adrenaline, okay? Things like that. Those are the neurotransmitters that the precursor, one of which is tyrosine. So L-tyrosine is very beneficial. You'd want to use it on an empty stomach in the morning so it can actually reach your brain and cross your blood-brain barrier. So that's one great tip here as well. But on that note, you could also use a good quality choline supplement. So choline is a B vitamin that is basically the precursor to the focusing neurotransmitter in your brain, acetylcholine. So that's a lot to take in. Basically, if you supplement with a choline supplement, which is a B vitamin, then you can build up more of those neurotransmitters that are used for focusing, okay? And one of the best ways to do this is with a supplement called alpha GPC. This is a very bioavailable form of choline. But if you're looking for the best bargain way to do this, that's going to be a jack of all trades, you want to get a methyl B complex. So, B complex, what is that going to do? For your brain, it's going to basically be a reset. It's going to restore a lot of neurotransmitters to balance levels. Now, it has to be a methyl form complex. So when you look on the back of the label, you don't want to see a bunch of crappy quality B vitamins. And I'm not saying only B12, because everybody thinks I'm only talking about B12. This is the entire complex of all the B vitamins that work together. Okay, they're water soluble. You're going to be burning out a lot of water soluble nutrients in your body from smoking, or drinking, really. And basically, because water soluble vitamins fluctuate a lot, and they burn out pretty quickly. But you also want to have those because they're going to be a reset button for your brain. That's B complex. Now, why do they have to say methyl? So methyl, M-E-T-H-Y-L, that's the form of B vitamins that are far more bioavailable, and they don't have any other problems. They're not cheaper forms of these vitamins. Typically, you'll see cyano in front of some of these B vitamins. Cyano rather than methyl. And that basically means they're a cheaper quality form that uses cyanide as the sort of base chemically. So your liver has to work, it's not going to kill you, but your liver has to work very hard to remove it and dispose of it. And that's why people get this sort of, yellow piss thing going on with B vitamins. But anyways, the point is, you want, I can't say your exact dose here unless you get a consultation together with me on my website, romanoketo.com. You can book one right now, or you can apply for long-term coaching. But B complex is going to be a killer reset button for your brain here, and that's something I recommend for a lot of people who are coming from smoking, or if they're coming from lots of Diet Coca-Cola, or I'm trying not to say brand names of soda companies so they don't, come after me. But the point is, if you drink a lot of soft drinks that are diet, you're also going to be burning out these neurotransmitters. And hey, maybe if you're one of the people who has, if these characteristics apply to you, absolutely go get these supplements. And I also have them linked in the description. That would support me as well, but they're the highest quality ones, and I'll only ever promote high quality stuff that's clean. So if these three things apply to you, go get these things right now. What you're going to want is, if you are eating a high carb diet, you are smoking, and you are consuming Diet Coke or any other soft drink, that means you're consuming aspartame, lots of sugar, and nicotine. So your brain and your body is basically conditioned for these exciting spikes, and you're not able to produce them endogenously. You're not able to do it on your own without this sort of external chemical aid. So commonly in my keto diet videos, I talk about this sort of volatility between blood sugar and insulin from spiking your sugar all the time from high carb diets or from processed sugars. If you're eating a lot of processed sugar and then you're also smoking and you're also having diet soda, your brain is just on a continuous roller coaster of ups and downs, and you want to rid yourself of those dependents. So the best nutritional approach to fix that is keto dieting, and that's it, my stern belief. I know people say that's not a medically proven thing, but I will tell you, over a decade of doing it myself and coaching people, this is what I've seen. It's the same philosophy as any sort of drug in that way, right? Sugar is more addictive than drugs. Cocaine, it's more addictive than nicotine, than smoking. Okay, sugar is the most addictive thing to quit in that way. Nicotine's up there, for sure. But the point is, if you are conditioning your brain to have these spikes and troughs, you need to rid yourself of the dependence. So the best way to do that is ketogenic dieting. The easiest step is to start intermittent fasting. That's the least I can throw at you, the lowest hanging fruit. So enough for this video. Hopefully this video is giving you a load of value, and if you know somebody who's smoking, show them this video because it can help them a load. And this is the foundation for the protocols I use with a lot of my clients who do smoke, especially if they're vaping or something like that. This video applies to them too because they're actually probably consuming more nicotine than a cigarette, and it's a quicker release because it's in this vapor. Okay, it's going to enter the bloodstream quicker and exit quicker. So vaping is actually going to be even more aggressive in that way. And that's why it's better to taper the dose down. Now, of course, I'm not telling you that you have to quit smoking entirely for this video. I'm not going to tell you what you do with your life in that way. I'm just going to give general rules and principles that I use to help people. Just know this. This is the last thing I'm going to throw here because this is very powerful. Not only is it going to be better for your fat loss, of course, if you could taper down the smoking and eventually stop, right? But the point is, one thing I have found is that ketogenic dieting helps people quit smoking better than anything else. Because if you are taking one of the most addictive substances in the body, and I'm not saying sugar is poison, okay? Just because I do most of the year ketogenic dieting doesn't mean that I think sugar is the devil, okay? There's uses and purposes for sugar in nature. It's a luxury fuel that we only would have had half of the year. But the point is, if you can get yourself to quit temporarily and eat no sugar for a period of time, then you are going to be reducing the biggest chemical dependence in your body, and it will become far easier for people to reduce other chemical dependencies in their body. And that's what I've noticed in a lot of my clients. A lot of people have ended up quitting smoking from doing keto dieting, and I don't think many other dieting approaches really have an inherent mechanism built into that might play in well to quitting other chemical dependencies. So now the video is done. Like it, share it, subscribe, follow me on Instagram, leave me some comments down below. I will do my best to help you out for free. And also, if you message me on Instagram and follow me on Instagram, I'll do that as well. I've been doing some lives there. It's been really fun. But also go to romanoketo.com if you just want to go straight to the promised land and get the Keto Shred program, know how to do keto for fat loss perfectly. If you want to get a consultation so you and I can work out your individual situation, or long-term coaching, where we're in communication 24/7 every hour of the day to basically ensure that you're always hitting your goals and on track for your own unique needs. That is it. I'm Anthony Romano. Peace.